if you clicked on this video, I assume you probably know what a showcase is and what a Roblox is. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to define what I mean when I say showcase. A showcase is a Roblox game purely made to be art, to be viewed, to show off what the builder can make, or to show off what Roblox is capable of. Or all of the above. What a showcase game is not is just a good-looking game. I mean, there are plenty of games out there that look really cool, but they have gameplay features and objectives and all sorts of other unsavory things. No, today we'll be sticking to games purely made to be viewed, to be art. So, let's take a look at the history and evolution of Roblox showcases. Early Roblox looked nothing like modern Roblox. No terrain, small number of colors, incredibly basic materials, and oddly nostalgic skyboxes? Seriously, I've heard people who didn't even play old Roblox say that these skyboxes are nostalgic. It's like they just have a nostalgic aura to them. I swear I could just stare at them for hours and hours. Oh, what was I talking about? Right, showcases. It was generally difficult to find early showcase games, not only because old games are difficult to find in general, but also because most games were created with some sort of gameplay purpose in mind. In the early days, it tended to be either building or battling. This brings us to a game named Khranos. Khranos? Let's just say Khranos. I spent a while looking for the earliest showcase games that existed, and this is one of the earliest ones I found. For each place that we look at today, I'll show you the creator, the date the showcase was created, and last updated. This was created in April 2008, and hasn't been updated since March 2009. The showcase was created by a now infamous user named Minish, and there's a whole long backstory behind this user that we don't have time to get into today, so we're just going to look at Khranos itself, which is a very abstract showcase. It's very interesting, and it's hard to tell what it's even supposed to be. You spawn in some sort of cave room with these weird structures, and there's multiple ways to go. There's this tunnel, which I can only assume is supposed to be a dirt tunnel, which then turns into a water tunnel. Of course, terrain didn't exist back then, let alone water, so they had to settle for transparent blue blocks. I believe the small bricks along the wall here are meant to be bubbles. Kind of a creative use of the blocks. At the end of this tunnel, there's an odd room with these brown pillars. Again, I'm not exactly sure what this room is supposed to be. Maybe it's some sort of cave? I don't know. On the opposite side of the starting room is a rock tunnel. At the end of this tunnel is a room full of what looks like destroyed buildings. But I'm not sure of that. Again, the showcase is very abstract, so it's hard to tell what's going on. There's also areas that you need to do some jumping to get to. This one leads to a water room, which leads to a throne room of sorts, with some very nice pixely art on the wall. Although, now I'm having second thoughts about this being a throne room because this throne looks a lot like a casket. Anyway, the last area I could find took a bit more work to get to, but it was worth it. The first thing you'll see is a bright reflective tunnel featuring a nice blue sky texture that then leads to a room featuring lots of sky balls, with a sky walkway leading to a sky pillar. This is definitely the most visually interesting area of the showcase, but it's also the most abstract. Again, for the earliest showcase I could find, this one is quite abstract, and I guess they sort of had to be abstract because there's not too many tools to work with at this point. But as we go along, we'll see how creative people can be when they make these showcases. Okay, so while I was editing this video, I discovered there's another way to go. I didn't even find this before. This is kind of crazy. I'm like just now discovering this. There's this whole different tunnel. And I actually have not fully explored this area, so this is kind of exciting. Of course, we got these little rocks on the wall, or the rock wall or whatever. Again, it's hard to tell what these things are supposed to be because the textures are so basic, and all you got these are like the colors and the studs. And then we fall into a hole and appear in this like desert land, which had obviously these big pillars, and the floor is actually transparent here, which is interesting. And then there's a whole bunch of these like sand structures, which are kind of awkward to move around. See, I don't really fit through the stairs. I have to jump to get through them fully. But yeah, I literally didn't even know about this area. Because each showcase is going to look a lot different nowadays, especially these older ones, either because they were updated or because Roblox's engine was updated, a lot of these showcases are going to look different now than they did back then. So I'm going to try to dig through YouTube and find some old videos, some vintage footage of each showcase. The oldest one I managed to find for Khranos was this one from 2012. As you can see, it's in the ruined building room, and it looks a little bit different, but it doesn't look too different. Some showcases will look a lot different, mostly because of updates by the creator of the game to make it look more modern. So for those ones, it'll be especially important to get old footage. But it's still fun to see older Roblox YouTube videos. I love these old things. Man, I really did not mean for that section to go on for so long, but Khranos had a lot to explore. Anyway, on to the next game, Eagle's Castle. And for this one, I actually want to start with our vintage footage, because it's pretty epic. Yes, that was the highest resolution available, and yes, that is really the music they used. I love it. I love it so much. Anyway, back to Eagle's Castle, the game. Eagle's Castle seemed to be one of the first, I don't know if is it exactly the first, but one of the first in a popular trend of making castle showcases in early Robloxes. There were so many castles, as you will soon see. This game is exactly what it sounds like. It's a castle with a giant eagle on top of it. That's most of it. But there are some cool details. For example, the perimeter is lined with these spiky roof things, these little walkways, and in the middle there's this big courtyard, and then of course there's the actual castle itself, which isn't super large, but it does feature some pretty cool thrones. I like this showcase quite a bit, especially for early Roblox, because even though it's quite simple compared to today's standards, it's pretty well designed. The whole thing is just very pleasing to the eye, the symmetry, the detail. It's very, very nice. And I can see why this kind of game would be actually popular. I think it had over 100,000 visits which for a 2008 game is pretty impressive. And in case you had any doubt that this was a showcase, it very much explicitly says it in the description of the game, which is very nice for me because it makes it very easy to confirm that this is a showcase. Next up is another game that, oddly enough, makes itself known as a showcase. I guess this might have been a common thing back then, people not knowing what showcases are, because there weren't a lot of showcases back then. So people were confused why these games didn't have weapons or cars or tools or anything to do. It's also another castle, by the way. It's called the Brimstone Garden. This is probably my favorite one we'll look at from this era, not only because it's beautifully constructed, although it is, but also I love the way the lighting looks and the way it changes depending on what perspective you're looking at it from. From one side, the walls look, the typical monotone gray, but if you look at it from the other side, these highlights of red show up and you get this really cool gradient effect sort of thing. One thing you'll learn about me through this video is that I really love good lighting, and with the tools of early Roblox, this is about as good as it gets. Another thing I really appreciate and really enjoy about this showcase is the color consistency. It works with very few colors, but the ones that it picks pop really well, and they work really well with each other. This like red and this white, they work really well together to make a really good-looking showcase. So again, even though it's not that advanced by today's standards, the colors themselves can make it look really cool. And our vintage footage today is called one of Roblox, S favorited places, the Brimstone Garden. And as you can see, it has some pretty grooving music here. Let's give it a like. This is a pretty awesome video. This one came out April 22, 2011, and features 2 guests. Isn't that awesome? And our final game for the 2008/2009 era is, you guessed it, another castle. It's called Lost Thoughts Fortress, and I actually didn't notice until now that it's created by the same person who made Eagle's Castle, mostly because it was hard to find the original version. There are a lot of copies floating around because the original game is uncopy locked, and I think that the more popular version is actually not even the original, which is kind of sad. But I think that this is the original, and you'll actually notice a few design choices from Eagle's Castle carried over into the Lost Thoughts Fortress. So it's a castle, or a fortress, floating in the sky, and I love these little mesh trees and mesh bushes, but obviously the main appeal is the fortress. This time there's actually nothing inside, but the interiors do look quite nice from the inside, even if a cloud or two floats in every now and again. The description itself actually mentions that this showcase is unfinished, so there was probably meant to be something inside these halls. Also, this one just looks really good when you zoom out all the way. It almost looks like a painting, at least in the way it's constructed. I really like it from this view especially. Unfortunately, we're not going to spend too much time on the vintage footage because, as interesting as the title sounds, Blox Bloopers Episode 3, Exploring the Lost Thoughts Fortress, the video itself is not as interesting, but I do want to cover one last thing before we move on to the next era. I want to mention that 2009 was the year that the elite builders of Robloxia were formed, It was, and is, a Roblox group for only the most elite builders on Roblox. It was seen as the group to be in if you want to call yourself a great builder on Roblox. So, quite a few games coming up will be related to the group in some way, usually as an entry, people trying to show what they're capable of so that they can get in or get recognized. I thought I should mention that now because EBR is very important to the history of showcases, and you might see their name a little bit come up soon. Ah, 2010. What a great time to start playing Roblox. Oh, okay, I guess I'm only saying that because I started playing in 2010. My account wasn't really created until January 2011, but I played as a guest a few times before that. So, I have a lot of nostalgia for this era. In terms of building tools, Roblox Studio had a lot of improvements. Places can have more parts, there are a lot more colors to work with, as well as materials. In 2011, ambient occlusion was added, making shadows look a lot better, and terrain was also added later that year, which I remember because they released these things called public building servers, which were awesome, and I actually had a few of them myself. In 2012, water was added. Also, take these dates with a grain of salt because they come from the Roblox wiki, which is notoriously unreliable. Unfortunately, it's the best or most comprehensive resource we have, though. The first game we're going to look at from this era is called Seishun Otoko. I probably butchered that. Now, the game page says it was last updated around 2019, but the description says it was last updated around mid-2011, so I'm just going to take the creator's word for it. The description also says it was a place the creator often dreamed about, and he also gave a song that he thought suited the place, which you should be hearing right now. It then gives this description. Seishun Otoko, an unknown town in the mountains where people aren't able to express their emotions. Only the youthful can heal the scarred hearts. The showcase features a small village on a mountain, guarded by a gate. It has a main street bustling with people and shops, and full of things. I love the little details put into each resident. It's like they each have a story to tell. A few of these buildings have things inside them, but most are empty. There's fading yellow blocks in each window to signify light escaping. This showcase is so special to me. It's not particularly popular or iconic in the grand scheme of all showcases, but it's a clear passion project by its creator. It's so clearly art. I love little places like this so much. Little worlds that were crafted by their creator. A little look into the creator's mind. I love places like this. I think this is a super well done showcase and it's probably my favorite one so far. Just because of the world building aspects to it. Oh, also I should mention that the dude that created this was apparently also an EBR member, which you'll see that pattern a lot, but I just wanted to mention that. Our next game, Nature Walk by, hold on. Nature Walk is one that I kind of have a history with, in that I played it back in the day, and it was one of my favorite games back then. I love just walking around and enjoying the view. It features a bevy of mesh bushes and trees, a nice dirt path, a bridge over the water with some butterflies, a waterfall, and it even features this special greenhouse with these plants with a secret code. Okay, maybe the code's not so secret, but a secret code that can be used to open up a door behind the waterfall, which is like my favorite trope in anything. I love secret doors behind the waterfalls. If I see a waterfall in a game and it doesn't have a secret passage behind it, that game is just dead to me. Okay, I love secret passageways behind waterfalls. And this one has some cool portraits that are just so very 2010. But I love them. I love them so much. The art it's so awesome. It's probably worth noting that this game wasn't that technically impressive, even for the time, but I still wanted to show it because it has a special place in my history, being the first showcase game I really liked. And, you know, it was just a nice, peaceful place in Roblox. And back in the day, that's what a lot of these showcases were. Was just a nice looking place, even if it's not the most cutting edge thing of all time. Yes, Cindy certainly will be missed. Next up, we have Légèreté de la liberté, which is an airship, and it might be one you've seen before. It's pretty iconic at this point. It was even the winner of Excellence in Construction Award at the Roblox Game Conference in 2012. These awards were actually kind of like the precursor to the Bloxy Awards. This one is a little difficult to place in time because it seems like it had been worked on for a while, but it wasn't finished until 2012, and it's also been updated quite a bit since then. Getting into the actual showcase itself now, it takes place inside a luxurious airship. You start out in a main lobby area with a big statue, I'm assuming of the creator, and it has these two sort of arcing staircases that meet at the top. Past the big statue is a steering room. Pardon me for not knowing what the proper terms are for the different areas of an airship, so I'm just going to call it the steering room. It features a giant window panel with a beautiful view of the sea below. Moving up to the second level, we can view the steering room from above. Or we can go this way towards the outer deck with some benches to sit and enjoy the view. This is apparently me sitting and enjoying the view. There's also this interior lounge area, which is quite nice. Got some nice green chairs. For some reason, I decide to test each chair to make sure they work. Spoiler alert, they all work. You can already tell that this is a lot more detailed than the ones we were looking at before. It's clear that a lot of time went into carefully crafting every square inch of this airship. And you could tell why it became kind of popular around this time, too. Something truly detailed as this was quite rare to come by in these days. Moving on to the third floor now, it has a main area with a pool, and also a lot of suites, each with a bedroom, a bathroom with either yellow water or a pre-peed-in toilet, I'm not sure which one. Each suite also has this outer balcony area, which connects all the suites to one another. Oof, that was a lot to go over, and we didn't even quite see everything. But it's going to be important again to look at the vintage footage this time, considering how much this showcase has changed over the years. The first one, yes, you heard that right, the first one, shows the airship in an incomplete state. This video is from 2011, and for some reason the video creator is oddly critical of the showcase. It's quite interesting to see how different the ship looked when it was being built. It's quite a bit less detailed, although it still is detailed for the time, but it's quite a bit less detailed than the modern version. And we could see the complete version in our next vintage footage from 2012, but it still looks quite different because it has the older materials. And it actually looks different in construction as well. It seems the creator went back and refined some areas after this point. It still looks really nice, but definitely different from how it looks today. And I gotta say, I really prefer the look of the new materials. As nostalgic as these old ones are, they look really cartoony. The next game is one I bet a lot of older players will recognize. And if not, you'll probably at least recognize the name of its creator. It's called The Wind, and it was made by Asimo3089, aka half of the people that made Jailbreak. This is another showcase that's really difficult to put into one era. The game's description claims it was made and released in 2012, which would put it in this era. Also, you might notice its description mentions that this was an EBR entry. I told you these guys were prominent. Anyway, look at this tweet from Asimo that came out this year, February of this year, 2023. He said that The Wind had its 10-year anniversary, which would mean it came out in 2013, right? This tweet from 2016 says that it hit its 3-year anniversary. Again, that math only checks out if it came out in 2013. Furthermore, I couldn't find a single video from 2012 about The Wind. And get this, it won Place of the Year in Roblox BloxCon, you guessed it, 2013. My guess is it was released in very late 2012, probably late December, and it didn't blow up until early 2013. It's also been updated several times since then to look more modern, both with new lighting and new construction. But all that to say, I'm still going to put it here in the 2012 era. I'm just going to take the description's word for it that it came out in 2012, which puts it in this era technically. I guess it doesn't matter all that much. Oh well, let's just get into it. This showcase features a cabin on a frigid island. The waters are so cold, they are deadly. You instantly turn into a block of ice. Asimo's showcases tend to be very exploration focused, so there's more to see here than there is time to show it. It features a nice cozy interior with a fireplace and some very comfortable looking furniture. The exterior features some trees, some grass here and there, and a slope up to the top of the island, which has a hole in it that leads into a cave.
Oh no, I fell and lost some health. Okay, yeah, that's cool. And then it's like the sewer, so you come back. Then you're over here, which there's a, what is this for? Just a minute. Can you like climb up that? Oops. Oh no, oh no, oh no. That was funny. I love your fishing. I love your fishing. I love your fishing. I love your fishing. I love your, no. Oh no. Oh my gosh. You're kidding me. I got a fish. Can I eat it? I can eat it. Oh, that's so cool. That really is. Oh, man. Wait, I just love the detail of this, it's so awesome. It really is. I love it.
I love it too, man. I love it too. This is from February 2013, and you can even see the old materials in the cabin part itself. And it's not just the materials that look different. The lighting looks completely different from the modern version. This was before dynamic lighting was released, which was a huge game changer. And, okay, let's just get into it.
...2013 was a groundbreaking year for the Roblox look. We really changed the client and let people build more amazing levels than they ever have before. At the heart, Roblox is about building games out of parts, and we let people build much bigger, more intricate games now than they ever have before. At the beginning of the year, you could only use about 20,000 parts in a level. We introduced featherweight parts. We brought that number up to 100,000. We introduced streaming join, and people can now make amazing, intricate worlds of 500,000 parts and join them quickly.
One of the biggest game changers in terms of look that we introduced this year is dynamic lighting. It's a very cool technology that's based on voxels that allows us to do a lot of lights, like think hundreds of lights that we update in real time. And it is scalable, it works on mobile and it works on PC, and it is widely used in a lot of Roblox games. Most showcases that we see now, most games that look really, really good, utilize lighting really well. And there are even games that use lighting for very interesting gameplay elements like darkness.
Another big feature we did this year were outlines, and it was controversial at first, and we added the ability to change them and customize them for a specific place. But now it's kind of a natural thing for a lot of the Roblox games, and it feels pretty good. Also, we did new water for our terrain, and we see a lot of games using it on our main page, and I think that kind of refreshed the whole water concept in Roblox. And finally, we revamped the look of all Roblox materials. Now they look more interesting, more detailed, and more pronounced. This kind of changes the look of all of our games and make it more interesting, and we think it's much better. Overall, I think it's one of the biggest year for the rendering here at Roblox. I think we did most this year than any other year.
Yeah, they really weren't lying. 2013 to 2014 is the era that, to me at least, marks the death of the old Roblox look, and the beginning, at least the seeds of the modern Roblox look. As you can see by the video, a lot changed in 2013. The new materials, dynamic lighting, and increased number of parts means we're going to see a very rapid increase in the complexity of these showcases. With that being said, we're actually going to be starting out with the least complex game of this era, RoadRunner Canyon. Now, I wouldn't typically put two showcases by the same creator right next to each other, but both this and The Wind were popular around the exact same time. Also, I already made the thumbnail, so I have to put this one in. To be clear, despite the fact that this one is less detailed, this one came after The Wind. It just hasn't been updated as much. Like, just imagine RoadRunner Canyon as the abandoned stepchild and The Wind as the prized successful child of Asimo. Just to put it in perspective how close these games were in terms of release, remember Roblox BloxCon 2013 where The Wind won Place of the Year? Well, at that exact same event, RoadRunner Canyon won the User's Choice Award for Best Looking Game. The exact same event. The description mentions that the game used to have gameplay features, but they were removed after they got broken, and now it's just a visual showcase. Like the name suggests, it's a canyon full of dusty, dry air, dry grass, wooden structures, and plenty of areas to explore. You know what? Actually, I think our vintage footage will describe it better than I ever could.
Today we'll take a look at a Western-style adventure game that is known for its impeccable detail. RoadRunner Canyon, created by Asimo 3089, is an under-the-radar hallmark of the Western genre. In this review, we'll take an in-depth look at RoadRunner Canyon, as well as go over the objective and describe gameplay. Players begin at RoadRunner Canyon on the basis that they have strangely awoken in an unknown location. The objective for the players is to find the way back home by exploring and unlocking paths. When I played RoadRunner Canyon, I noticed right away that the creator placed a high importance on aesthetic values. Everything was beautiful. The landscape, the grass that moved ever so slightly in the wind, the buildings, and even the mine shafts. And it is an adventure game, so I did plenty of exploring. I found myself wanting to keep moving further and further into the game and unlock new areas, mostly because they were true sights of beauty. The game was easy to follow. Large checkpoint markers made progression from one section to another very simple and exciting. There were also quite a few cutscenes, as well as themed music and sound effects. This adds a nice story and makes the game feel authentic and interesting.
Thanks, Max. This next game is called Temple of the Sea, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The description of the game gives a small excerpt, a poem perhaps. It reads, "In the depth and darkness of the heart, one searches for divine fate, but if the heavens do allow the waters to part, the temple of the sea lies in wait." It features a foggy, swamp-like area with an incredibly intricate and detailed temple. It has a fountain in the middle and a statue at the entrance. Outside is a small stream that leads upward into a passageway with some bricks and the stream going down in the middle. It's worth noticing that the water here is made from parts. It would be a bit still before terrain was popularly adopted into showcases. In these days it was usually all parts, but later on we'll see a development where people will start to use terrain as terrain starts to look better. In these days it looks a little more rudimentary.
Oh, YouTube, I'm checking out some kind of really cool building project or game. It's called Temple of the Sea, and it's one of the most detailed and well-crafted things. It's perfectly sea-framed and symmetrical all around in a circle. So I'm going to be showing what it looks like. This person's also in the EBR.
See? I told you that EBR was really prominent. This vintage footage doesn't even look that different from today. It looks pretty much the same, other than the trees not glowing red as they did before. I don't think they're supposed to look like they do in the actual showcase nowadays, but that's how they look for some reason. If you're sick and tired of hearing about EBR, I have some bad news for you, because our next game was built by them. It's called Stratosphere Settlement, and it was created by a whole boatload of Roblox devs, all for EBR though. With original music and custom skybox, several different islands, each jam-packed with little details. It's unfortunately just too much to give a full tour in this video, so I'll show you my favorite parts. Much like in Seishun Otoko, this showcase is littered with funny little guys, each doing their own thing. We can also find more detailed avatars, which represent EBR members. We can even find the creator of Seishun Otoko in the pub. If you'll recall, in his bio he mentions that he worked on this game. The skies are full of clouds and airships, some of which you can board and see the interior of. There's a little teleport hub that you can access, which can teleport you to the different islands. If you fall anywhere in the void, you will get automatically teleported here, which is really nice for exploration purposes. You'll notice little flags of different countries here and there. I believe these are from the devs of those countries wanting to represent where they came from. It's really cool to see that a project like this can have people from all around the world working on it. Another impressive thing about this showcase is that despite the fact that it has areas with different aesthetics, and also it was worked on by so many people, it doesn't feel thematically inconsistent or cluttered. That, I would imagine, would be a huge issue, but it actually looks really consistent and really nice. This is another showcase that's so beautifully constructed, it almost looks like a painting when you zoom it out. Like, I would frame this and put it up in my house. It looks so nice. I really love the way some of these areas are constructed. There are just so many details here and there. And if you're going to check out any of these showcases, this would be one I would highly recommend due to how much stuff there is to see, how many little details there are. And you know, I joke around about EBR a bit in this video, but we really don't see collaborative builds on this scale anymore, with so many creators from around the world contributing. This was something truly special.
Second category, build of the year.
Second category in the third segment.
Yeah, do you want to talk about build of the year?
Yeah, I'll talk about build of the year. So, build of the year. We're tired. We've been doing this all day. Build of the year obviously is just to recognize that certain people build certain things on Roblox that aren't necessarily meant to be a game.
Right.
They're just meant to be an amazing and awesome showcase for creativity and visual aesthetics. So we thought that it would be completely appropriate to honor one of the best builds of the year. And here are your nominees. Welcome to Venezia by Sonic the Hedgehog XX. Crosswinds by Osimo3089. Tree of Life by Ravenshield.
I like them all.
They're all...
Can they all win?
If it was a fair and just world, I feel like they would. But unfortunately, due to the nature of fierce competition, only one can take home the Hall of Fame award for 2014.
And here it is.
Welcome to Venezia by Sonic the Hedgehog XX.
Yep, your eyes are not deceiving you. We're doing another Asimo game because Welcome to Venezia is a game with gameplay features. Yuck, get it off my screen. We don't want gameplay features here, we just want pure art, right? If anything, this should just prove how prolific Asimo was in the showcase game back then. He just dropped banger after banger showcases. This one, in particular, features an autumn environment, with these yellow, red, orange tinted trees with falling leaves. The sound of wind and birds can be heard, and depending on where you stand, you can hear the sound of water by the stream. There's also a cabin, but unfortunately the doors don't seem to work anymore. This showcase is a whole audio-visual experience. It's the whole package, which is a trend we'll see more going forward, people including audio as a part of the showcase experience. Some of the showcases we've looked at so far have looked pretty cool, have been well designed in general, but in my opinion, this is the first showcase we've looked at so far that just looks gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. The lighting is so well done, and the colors just pop. Now, it should be noted that this description states that it had new lighting added later on. So, let's take a look at what it looked like back in the day, and we can also see the inside of the cabin because the doors worked back then.
Anyways, hello YouTube. Welcome to Asimo's, some numbers, Asimo 3089's place. This is called Crosswinds, a very beautiful new place that he just built, and I'll be doing a review on it today. So it's based off a forest, as you can see, and it's very colorful. And there's a lot of parts as well, and he warns you in the description that you have to have a pretty decent computer. And wow, look at these roads. They're not just flat, they have some shape and development to them. And he built a little cabin over here as well. And let's go check this out. Very, very nice. It's not super detailed, but it's very detailed. And there's a lot of C-framing involved, and I mean, it's not a ton of parts considering it's extremely detailed. Because I'll make trees that are way more parts than this, but his look really good at the same time. They're only a couple parts. You've got more trees out here. And there's also dynamic water that moves up and down. Not on the river though, but on the outside. Very nice looking. And these are real planks right here, all individually C-framed. And some people jumping around. A bathroom, I guess. Nicely done. So let's take another exploration around here. Let's get up here and go look around. Take another look at the kitchen. Very nice.
In late 2014, solid modeling was added, allowing builders to add an increased amount of complexity to their builds. In early 2015, smooth terrain was added, making terrain a much more viable thing to use for showcases, and it just looks a lot better, so you'll actually start to see showcases using terrain soon. There are also new materials added, and tons of other very small changes to the engine that end up making a big difference. By 2015, we're a lot closer to the look of modern Roblox than we are to old Roblox. For this reason, there will be a lot less vintage footage from now on, but we'll still do it for games that changed drastically since they were released.
Please welcome Jack and the Blox back to the stage.
Showcases are a large part of what makes Roblox an imagination platform. Not games themselves, showcases give builders the means to show off their skill, creating immersive, interactive worlds that we all love to explore. From huge Gothic cathedrals to the happiest place on Earth. Here are your nominees for Best Showcase.
Blue Sky Cellar Disneyland, Clouds, Universal Orlando Resort, Share Your Cup's Lair, Port Gloom, Temple of Memories, R.I.P. Your Toaster, King's Landing.
And the winner is Clouds.
Congratulations to the makers of Clouds, a beautiful showcase of modern Robloxian art.
Yeah, we're deviating from the winner again, and that's gonna become the pattern. Rip Your Toaster should have easily won, but oh well. I mean, Clouds is a fine game, no disrespect to the creators of that, but this game is so immaculately detailed and well designed that the only reason I can imagine it didn't win was because people's toasters kept exploding. It appears to be an overgrown interior, perhaps of a cathedral. Light seeps in through the windows and the ceiling. Plant life grows upon many of the structures. This showcase has a level of intricacy that had never been seen before. There's a reason this thing destroyed old computers. Luckily, it runs just fine in my hardware. But, man, this really started a new era of showcase games, where every single square inch of the showcase had detail, and had so many bricks in it, that it just became like a brick competition. How many parts can you have in your showcase, and how efficiently can you use them? It almost became like an arms race of who could use the most parts. And personally, I'm all for it as long as they're well designed. And this is really well designed. And it has the other thing that you guys know I like: good lighting. Good lighting, good design. That's all you need in a good showcase. But if it is really, really detailed too, hey, that's pretty nice. Unless you have a toaster, then don't play this game. Vibe Garden, known at the time as Temple of Memories, is special for a few reasons. The first is that it's the first showcase that we're going to look at that really utilizes the new at the time smooth terrain. It works really well with the design of the rest of the showcase, especially the trees. The trees fit in right with the smooth terrain, and I can't even explain why. The main area is made completely out of parts, and it's the oldest area of the showcase, but the outskirts feature a mix of terrain and parts. Another unique thing about this showcase is the fact that it has different weather patterns that come and go, adding a dynamic element to it. I would list them all here, but I actually don't know all of the weather patterns. Finally, and most oddly, it has a mechanic. Now, I know that sounds scary, but it's not really a gameplay mechanic, so don't worry. Anyway, it has a mechanic called Zen that basically rewards the player for staying still for long periods of time. You have special meditation animations, and you can get new ones by obtaining higher levels of Zen. The showcase features a large landscape with hills, dunes, rivers, mountains, caves, tunnels, and there are also structures, temples, statues, gazebos, and other things. Now, we're going to look at some vintage footage for this because it looks drastically different now than it did back then. The earliest footage I could find was from April 2015. It seems that it was just the main starting area, which actually means the original version didn't feature any smooth terrain. That must have been added later. It has a classic Roblox skybox, and in general it just looks very small and rudimentary compared to the current version. Everything I could find seems to mention how relaxing and soothing this game is. While this game isn't as detailed as Rip Your Toaster, it simply occupied a different niche. It provided a place to relax and be soothed, a place away from the chaos of the rest of Roblox. Unfortunately, the modern version lacks music that it had before. In fact, it previously had an entire soundtrack to it, but it seems it was all removed for some reason. Something else I feel is worth mentioning before we move on to the next segment is the fact that there were a lot of house/mansion/apartment showcases that cropped up around this time. A large portion of the showcases for this era were just living spaces. And it's still a popular format today, but they aren't quite as dominant today as they were in this era specifically. They're not usually at the cutting edge of Roblox technology, but they were so popular, I figured they deserve some representation. So, I'm going to show you a bit of a supercut here, featuring some of the popular house showcases of the time.
Please welcome Abby Like the Road.
Since its inception, Roblox has evolved to encompass more than just games. Many talented builders have allowed their creativity to run free. They have designed beautiful, imaginative experiences. The next 5 showcases masterfully prove that it's all in the details, from the sound of our footsteps to the way the light glistens off a window. Let's take a look at this year's nominees for Favorite Showcase.
Favorite Showcase: Airship Station, Stratosphere Settlement, Forgotten Memories Showcase, Buena Vista, Temple of Memories. And the winner is Temple of Memories.
Yeah, so despite the fact that Temple of Memories was literally a nominee at the previous Bloxy Awards for Best Showcase, it was the winner for 2016. To be fair though, Temple of Memories had been overhauled by that time, so it did look a lot different. But obviously we're not going to repeat that here. You probably also noticed Stratosphere Settlement, which was made even earlier and was virtually unchanged since 2013, so there's really no excuse for that one being there. But yeah, we're doing Airship Station, created by the same guy who created Rip Your Toaster. Believe it or not, it's an airship station. But there's a little bit more to it than that. The whole thing has a very, steampunk vibe to it, featuring structures made out of wood and corroded metal. This one, much like Rip Your Toaster, is incredibly intricate. Every part of the wall, at least in the station section, has so much detail to it. The lighting is also really good for this one too. There's a giant glass ceiling which light shines down from. The walls are all full of little lights that emanate a soft glow. There's also a filter over the whole thing that makes everything look softer. By the way, I just noticed that airships have been somewhat of a theme in popular showcases throughout the years. First with Légèreté de la liberté being an airship interior, then Stratosphere Settlement featuring a sky full of airships, and then this being a station for an airship. For some reason, airships just come up a lot in showcases. This is Forgotten Memories. No. Not that Forgotten Memories, although the existence of this Forgotten Memories has made it significantly more difficult to find any information about the showcase, just because this one is so popular. No. This is the Forgotten Memories we're talking about, the showcase. It seems to take place in a post-apocalyptic setting. The majority of humanity has disappeared from Earth for one reason or another, and the city has begun to be reclaimed by nature. It has ruined buildings, abandoned cars, rubble throughout the streets, all things signifying that something has gone horribly wrong for humanity. But the sun still shines, and plants still grow. Without humanity polluting it for any longer, the earth begins to heal. It's a beautiful yet somber message, and the whole showcase is very well built. I love post-apocalyptic settings, especially overgrown places. I really love the idea of nature reclaiming, ruined places. It's a really beautiful theme. So, this is one of my favorites so far. The next era is upon us, and there aren't too many changes to the Roblox engine to go over this time. But what this means is that builders finally have a chance to catch up and master the tools they have. One thing that improves quite a bit over this time is optimization, making it so that places can have more parts and still run well. Of course, as always, there are more materials, and a few materials look different, builders can use more colors, make parts even smaller than before, and a few new effects were added as well. How will builders use these new tools? Let's find out.
There are so many beautiful ways to build on Roblox. Each developer showcases the platform's stunning features in a unique way. From cozy rooms to vast worlds, the possibilities are endless when it comes to designing a virtual environment. Now we present the nominees for Favorite Showcase.
Favorite Showcase: Apartment 23, Fintanest, Life of an Otaku, Neon District, Waitamo Glowworm Caves. And the winner is Apartment 23. Congratulations to Joseph155 for developing Apartment 23, this year's favorite showcase. Bathed in the golden glow of an endless surprise, Apartment 23 is the perfect place to relax in between your races, brawls, and free-for-alls.
Wow, we are finally covering the winner of one of these awards. This is Apartment 23, and it's kind of weird. At least recently, the creator of this game, SetDefault1, made all the stuff on their page private very recently. In fact, it was so recently that I recorded this footage before all of it went private, and now I'm editing, which is good because I was able to get the footage for it. It's kind of sad because SetDefault1's showcases were pretty iconic. They were very prolific in this era, and it's unfortunate that you can't access them anymore. So, moving on to the actual showcase itself now. This one is a living space, but it's quite the unique one. You see, it's quite stylized. The description mentions that they were originally going for a cyberpunk look, but it ended up being a mix of different things. I personally think it looks quite good. You start off on the exterior, a floating island with, yeah, an airship docked at the start. Another showcase of an airship. The entire thing has this orange glow to it, the entire game itself, and I think it looks really good. You can hear the sounds of wind and birds. Again, it's another audio-visual showcase. There's trees and grass on the ground. On the exterior walls of the building, you can see pipes, windows, AC units, and other small details. On the front wall especially, there are a lot of details. Right outside the front door, you can see the number 23, indicating that this is apartment number 23. I'm not sure exactly how this apartment complex works, since you can not see any other floating apartments in the sky. Anyway, going inside now, you have to climb up a ladder to get to the apartment itself. The interior of the apartment is where the bulk of the detail is, of course. The first floor features a kitchen, dining room, and bathroom, and a living room. From the floor, to the walls, to the ceiling, to the furniture, everything is very detailed. The tables, the chairs, counters, shelves, sofas, hanging lights, rugs, plants, hanging pots, pans. It's all really detailed. The top floor is the bedroom, obviously featuring a bed, but it also has some cool details. Most notably, the Bloxy Award is here, which is pretty cool. Now, this showcase has actually changed quite a bit throughout the years, meaning it's vintage footage time. The earliest one I could find was from July 2017. The layout seems to actually have changed pretty drastically. All the furniture is in different places, and the stairs to the top floor were originally a ladder. The quality is so low on the video, though, it's somewhat hard to tell, but I think things are generally less detailed than they are in the modern version. Also, the orange glow is very toned down in this version. It seems they turned that way up for the modern version. The bedroom also looks quite different, with the bed being on the back wall instead of the middle, and a lot of the smaller details are missing. I mean, don't get me wrong, this version is still really detailed, but just a bit less than the modern version. I can still see why it won the Bloxy. It looks quite good, and it's a really unique showcase, especially considering that it's a unique especially considering that it's a living space, which, as I said earlier, was a very oversaturated genre at the time. But this put a unique spin on it that I really like, and seems a lot of people really like, considering it won the award. Welcome to the third colony. This one isn't Bloxy nominated or anything, but they don't need to be. I've just been using the Bloxy Awards lately because it's a lot easier to find showcases that way. It takes the work out of it, basically. But no, this one, it's not nominated or anything. It's just one I like. It's pretty small, but it's jam-packed full of details. It seems to have a sci-fi theme to it. There's this thing I can only assume is a spacecraft of some kind, which is really well designed and modeled. I mean, it barely even looks like something from a Roblox game, especially for the time. I love the way that the turret at the top moves around. It's pretty neat. And then we have this interior area. That's hard to say. Interior area. With more complex models and very detailed floors and walls. I love the neon glow that most of these objects have. These little slivers of neon glow. It makes everything look very sci-fi, and also very striking to look at. And then there's this hallway with a door at the end, which has this light blue glow emanating from it, which looks amazing. I really like the lighting in this showcase. And, well, that's basically it, actually. I mean, there's also some trees on the outskirts of this island, I guess. Some more information about this. This showcase appears to be in a series. The creator has this, the third colony. Before this was the second colony, and after the second colony was the last colony. And then after the last colony came the third colony, even though the name would suggest that the last colony would be the last one. That's it, I guess. It's nice to have some shorter segments. I mean, especially considering how long the video is getting. And you know, I hope you guys are enjoying this video, because I'm really enjoying making it. And if you are enjoying it, make sure to leave a fat like on this. I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
From detailed rooms to beautiful galaxies, these showcases balance Roblox technologies and artistry to create something truly awe-inspiring. Here are this year's nominees for Favorite Showcase.
Tranquility, -3. Cryocore 2, Neon District, Orion. Congratulations to Infinite Effect, creator of Neon District. The calming aesthetic and peaceful rain made this the perfect showcase to relax in.
And we are back to deviating from the winner again. Because Neon District, as good as that looks, is a roleplay game, not a showcase. I believe it was originally a showcase, but then it was converted into a roleplay game. But regardless, it needs to be purely a showcase to be featured here. So, sorry. Instead, let's take a look at Orion. This was made by the same guy who made Apartment 23, which means it's no longer accessible. But like Apartment 23, that was after I got my footage, so we're in luck. The showcase itself is very small, but it's got a lot to look at. You start off inside a garage. It's raining and dark outside. Exiting the garage, you can see the moonlight shining down upon the alleyway you enter. Walking forward from here, you can see a glowing cityscape across the water, and it reflects beautifully off of the water too. The sight is simply breathtaking. This is basically it, by the way, but it doesn't need anything else. The entire point of this showcase is this view right here. The vibes are immaculate, and the sights are gorgeous. Let me read this excerpt from the description. It reads, "The skyline is littered with unique skyscrapers, and they each represent the many aspects of the city. The Huh. You know, I'm not quite sure what happened there. I guess I'm just rambling too much. I need to let these showcases speak for themselves. Okay, let's go over another one of the Bloxy nominations. This time, Tranquility. This one is of the interior of a castle. We haven't seen a castle since 2009. Anyway, this one is slightly unique in the fact that you can interact with different objects and get a description of them. These can sometimes be quite lengthy, so I recommend checking out this game and reading them all for yourself, because I'm not going to read them out for you here. We certainly don't have time for that. There's also this area where you can meditate, which will fix the camera in a certain position and show your avatar in a certain animation. I think it's pretty cool. In general, the room is very detailed and has tons of little things here and there, and I really like the amount of detail that goes into it. In general, I'm typically a fan of show, not tell when it comes to storytelling, but I do really appreciate the effort that went into creating unique descriptions for each interactable object. The description of the game says, "Tranquility is a showcase dedicated to peacefulness. Here, you could explore the environment quite a bit and uncover a story, observe items and study them, or perhaps just meditate and focus with peaceful music." So it seems like this was made to relax in, although it seems like an odd choice for that, considering the setting is like just a castle. Huh. What the hell is happening? It seems like every time I go on for too long, it just starts fading me out and turning the music up. This wasn't happening before. I'm not sure why it's happening now. I mean, I sure hope this problem doesn't get worse somehow. I mean, it just seems to me that it's getting progressively worse, right? Does it seem that way to you guys too? Maybe there's something going on with these showcases. I couldn't tell you what it is, though. I have no clue. But I think as we approach present day, that there's something going on, and it's only going to get progressively worse from here. This whole thing is just very strange, and oh no, it's happening again, isn't it?
Just how far you can push the limits of Roblox. Take last year's award-winning Cyberpunk City Neon District, for example. It's so immersive. Well, what do you think? For worlds you can lose yourself in, let's check out the nominees for Best Showcase. Uh-oh.
Day 2019. Toyokawa Inari Shrine. Paris. And the winner is Toyokawa Inari Shrine.
Can I talk now? Okay. Let's just get through this, so I don't get drowned out again. I mean, each showcase should get its time of day, right? I want each showcase to have its proper time, but I'm not sure I have much of a choice in this matter, considering the problem seems to be getting progressively worse. So I guess let's just get into it. And I'm just gonna skip through a few parts here. Right, okay. You have eyes, you can see the showcase. Okay, this showcase is absolutely beautiful. Everything, especially in terms of lighting. The way the sunlight reflects off the water, especially with that shrine in the distance, is simply a stunning sight. Don't get me wrong, the rest of the showcase is cool too. The island and the interior of this area, it's all great. I love the glowing lamps too. They add a really nice level of additional lighting. I mean, the lighting all throughout the showcase is just perfect. This is also the first showcase we'll look at that features realistic trees, which is something we'll see a bit more in the future. Personally, I really like realistic trees, especially when it's paired with good lighting. It's such a gorgeous combination. That adds a level of realism to the showcase. And I also like blocky trees too. It's all up to the developer how they want to stylize their trees. And, oh no, I'm being faded out. Look, the showcase is really beautiful, and the lighting is amazing. You should really check it out for yourself. I really like this showcase. It's one I saw back in 2019 when it came out, and I was really awestruck by how beautiful it was and how realistic it looked. In my mind at this point, Roblox was still just a blocky Lego game. So to see something so realistic blew my mind back at the time. And it still does. Remember what I said about realistic trees in the previous segment? Yeah, this game is full of them. And it is also full of great lighting. And that's all I have to say. I'm just afraid I'm going to be drowned out again if I keep talking, so goodbye. How did we get here? No, I know how we got here. I just made a whole video on how we got here, but how did we get here? I mean, Roblox is completely different now. It's almost an entirely different game now than it was back then. And showcases are no different, except for the idea. The idea of a showcase has remained the same. A world to be explored, a story to be read, a peek into the creators' minds. The Roblox engine may have gotten more advanced, as have the building methods of the developers who make these games, but at the core, at the essence, the showcases are the same. So where does that leave us in 2023? Well, for our final segment, I figured we'd compare the past to the present. So we're going to look at a few showcases and compare how things have changed by looking at a similar showcase from the past. Can you believe it? It's finally time. We're finally gonna look at the showcase in the thumbnail. And naturally, we'll be comparing it to the other one in the thumbnail. This is Curahee Canyon, a small but detailed build. It features an arid, mesa-like area with rocks, cacti, and dry grass. The sky is partly cloudy, but mostly sunny. Something especially notable here is that, as far as I can tell, 0 original Roblox materials are used. Like, I think this is all original textures, which is just crazy, especially when you think about how things used to be. Originally, in the very few first showcases, you could only use blocks with like studs. And now you can make an entire showcase with original custom materials. Like, I could show this to my grandma, or at least a picture of this, and she would think it was real life. That's how far things have come. So let's take a look back in time, 10 years ago, at RoadRunner Canyon. Remember, this won an award for the best looking place. And at the time that we went over it in the video, in 2013, it did look fairly impressive. But next to Curahee Canyon, RoadRunner Canyon just looks so rudimentary. It's just a testament to how much things have changed. And, okay, can I be honest with you for a second? I might be forcing this segment a little bit. I made the thumbnail before I started editing, and I really like this thumbnail, so I just wanted to include this segment so that I could justify this thumbnail. Alright, I've kept you here long enough. Let's finish with one final showcase. This one is just called Flooded City Showcase, and it's exactly what it sounds like. I looked for a while. Ironically, it was difficult to find a finished showcase with a place creation date in 2023, so we started out with showcases being difficult to find early on, and now it's difficult to find recent ones. But I did manage to find a few, and this was my favorite from that list. What's crazy is how few plays some of these showcases have. At the time of me recording this game only has 43 plays. And, you know, the showcase isn't necessarily anything crazy or groundbreaking, but I think it's pretty neat. So, if there's any way I can end this video, any message I can go out with, it's this. Go check out some showcase games. Go give these creations some love. There are so many cool and awesome creations out there. Creative worlds full of little details that remind you that the creator is human. Because at the end of the day, That's what art is. An expression of one's own humanity. Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Wow, I made it to the end of the video, honestly. I mean, this is a huge undertaking for me, but it was totally worth it. I had so much fun making this video, and I definitely want to do more videos like this in the future. I'm thinking like evolution of Roblox horror games, tycoon games, and other kinds of games. Let me know what you want to see in the future, because I have tons of ideas, but I could always use some more ideas. Of course, all the showcases in this video, and also all the vintage footage sources will be linked in the description, as well as the timestamps, which means the description is going to be really, really long, but that's okay. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm going to try to make more content like this more frequently. So I hope you enjoyed this, and have a good day. See ya.